How you doing, everyone? Greetings and welcome back to the basement. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to wind up on this whole recording and playing back digital audio on 8-bit computers kind of series thing that I've been doing over the last while. So what I've been doing more or less is I have been making digital audio recordings using a modern day PC through Audacity, and I've been saving them out in a format that I could play back on my color computer 2 here. And the way I did it originally was I hacked a game by Nick Morantes so that I could kind of piggyback the sound file off of that and get it onto the color computer. In the second episode, what I did was I wrote a little piece of assembly code that would allow me to kind of play back any file that I had recorded myself without any kind of exterior help from hacking games or any of that kind of stuff. And I know that in that episode I went very heavy on the whole assembly language side of things, and I know that's not everybody's cup of tea, so I'm going to be steering clear of that in today's episode, because what we're going to do today is we're going to eliminate the need of a modern day PC. And what we're going to do is we're going to be making our sound recordings directly onto the color computer here using this little cable that I have made up. This will allow me to connect a microphone directly into the joystick port on the back of any color computer, and using this little piece of software I've written, I should be able to record to the computer directly, screw around with the audio, play it back, and even save it out to disk. So it's a fun little kind of a project kind of programmy thing. And what I decided to do was to make this piece of software available to you. So if you wanted to, if you have a real color computer, you can make up a little cable like this yourselves at home fairly simply and screw around with all this yourselves. Or even if not, I believe that the latest version of MAME, the color computer emulator in it, will allow you to connect a microphone to its virtual joystick port, and you should be able to use this software with that emulator and do exactly the same stuff. So that's probably an even easier way of experimenting around with this stuff. But in the very end, what I'll do is I'll show you a little game that I've written where I used some of the sound recordings that I made here and stuck them into that game, and I'll leave a download link to that in the description below as well. So why don't you move in a little closer and I'll show you how all this stuff works. This is my crappy recorder player for the Tandy Radio Shack color computer, and what we can do using it is we can press enter to record a sample using a microphone connected to the right controller port of any color computer directly to the Coco's memory. Then we can press space to play that sample back, or we can press shift to play that sample backwards. And also what I've done is I've put in a few commands that let us speed up and slow down the playback using the arrow keys. Now another thing you'll notice here is I've got a sample start address, which is always 2DAE, and I've also got a sample end address which changes depending on the length of the sample that you've recorded. So it kind of shows you where exactly your sample is living in the Coco's memory. And that's very handy because once you've made a sample you're satisfied with, if you want to save it out to keep it, what you can do is make a note of the start and end address and then press break to quit out the basic. And using a save M command, you can save just the sample that you have created using this program onto a disk. So that's the reason that those are there, and I'll show you how they work in a moment. Also, I've got speed down here in the bottom right hand side. It's set to 17 at the moment. It'll go from anywhere from 1 up to 99, but it's kind of counterintuitive because the lower the number, the faster it actually plays. Anyway, that's the way it's set up. So let me just move the camera out a bit more now and we get a kind of better pan on this thing, and we'll fool around with it, and I'll show you kind of the quality of recording that you'll get from a color computer 2. Okay, so let me demonstrate what the Coco can actually do record wise. Now you may have noticed that the audio quality of this video has kind of dropped a little bit. And the reason for that is this microphone here that I usually use to make videos, well, it's not connected to the camera at the moment because it's connected to the color computer. And that's because it's the only powered mic I have in the whole place. So I kind of needed to do this recording demonstration. So at the moment I am using the kind of inbuilt integrated microphone in the telephone here to make the video. So sound quality has dropped a little bit, which is unfortunate, but that's the way the thing is. Anyway, we'll screw around with this and I'll show you what it can do. Now, what I've been using this for up until now is recreating scenes from Star Wars. I'll show you what I mean. I press enter and I start recording. That's not true! That's impossible! I press clear to stop, and we should have that little recording in memory. So, what I do now is I say, Luke, I am your father. Now, Luke is squeaky because he's speaking fast, so we'll slow him down a bit. We'll try again. Luke, I am your father. It's not too bad quality-wise. You know, I mean, it really isn't when you consider that this computer doesn't even have an analog to digital converter. What it's doing to change our analog signals into digital is a little different than what you might think. I'll get into more of that in the assembly video that I'll be doing on this. But yeah, it seems fairly decent. We'll do another kind of more formal test here. Let me show you. If I press enter, testing, 1 2 1 2, testing. Press clear to stop again, and what we get is this. And of course we can speed it or we can slow it down all we want. We'll notice kind of garbled quality in there a bit, but I mean it's not high fidelity either. And we can always play it backwards. So that's the kind of stuff that we can do with this. Now, if you wanted to save that sample out to disk, all you need to do is make a note of the sample start address, which is 2DAE, and also the sample end address, which is 62D6. And the one other address that we need is actually an executable address, so that when we're in the basic prompt and we're after loading up our sample again and we type exec, that'll start this program for us. So the executable address for this actual program that's here is 280B. So what we're going to do is we are going to break out back into basic and we're going to save M, which is the command to save a portion of memory, kind of raw memory data to disk, and I'll call it AAA. We put in comma and H, and it's 2DAE is the beginning address, comma, and H, I can't remember what the end address was. We'll put in 6200. I should have put in what was displayed there to get the very one, but it doesn't really matter. We'll get a little more than we should. And we want to put in the executable address, as I said, which is and H 280B, as I said. When I press enter, that will save a file called AAA to disk with the start address, well, with whatever memory or whatever contents of memory begin at 2DAE and end at 6200. That's what's after saving to that file. And now all I have to do is type exec, and it brings us back into this here. Actually, that's not what I wanted to do. What I wanted to do was I wanted to turn all this off to show you that it actually works. We'll power back on the Coco again. It should bring us into our SDC menu here, and I will launch. Damn, I'm after loading up the wrong damn thing, aren't I? Hang on. This is going bad. Hang on a second, I'll load up the right one. So, we start up our Coco again, and what I need to do is I need to launch address. That's what I call this little program that I have here. So, at the moment there is a test sample in memory. which is yummy bugs that I recorded just to see it was working a bit. But what we'll do now is we will break out, and what I'm going to do is I am going to do a load M AAA. So that will load the sample that we saved just there a moment ago back into memory, and now when I tap EXEC, it should restart our player program, and when I press space, it should play the testing code or the testing sample again. Hang on, wait. So there you go. There was a testing at the end as well, but you see that it's saying the sample end address at the moment is 599E. If we actually extend that by pressing 2 to bring it to 699E, we should get a little more of the sample played. There we go. And there's a little bit of garbage at the end as well. But that is, in essence, this program that I've written and how it more or less works. So you can make recordings and you can save them back. And just to show you, if I do load M Poe, this is a sample that I recorded about a month or so back when I was testing this out initially, and it gives an idea kind of the quality you can get. We'll just bring it up here a bit in speed, and so what we've got is we've got a little bit of Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven. And of course, so there you go. Now I'm sure that through the editing of this video, I'm going to have to kind of screw with volume levels all over the place. But there is no trickery in this. This guy is working as you've more or less heard it here. And like I say, there's a link to it in the description below. There's also information on how to make up that cable as well if you wish to try it out. You can try it out in MAME as well, I believe, at the moment. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So what I leave you with is a little demo of my Simoco game with some sound samples that I've put into it that were recorded using this very thing. So until the next video, everyone, take good care. We'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.
Well done, you won.